Hey guys, it's Jonathan from BroJMR, and the first thing that I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to talk about now is Star Wars on VHS. Now this is not going to be a review of the movie necessarily. I'm going to do that later. I just want to talk about the experience of actually being able to watch the original unedited version on VHS. Now, this is mainly a nostalgia thing. The nostalgic feeling of watching something on VHS, watching the a rougher cut of it. Now, at the time this was released, this was high tech. This was the top of the line that you could get. Now we've moved on from VHS to Laserdisc to DVD to Blu-ray and now to 4K, which I've never seen anything on 4K because we don't have 4K TV, but we have these on Blu-ray, and I will say that in a lot of ways it's better. The Blu-ray version and even the DVD version is a lot better. Now, yes, there are some drastic changes made, and I'm going to be talking about the changes because that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to watch this. But just for the color, the sound, the look of it, the graphics, everything, Blu-ray is definitely better. It's cleaned up, it's not as dirty looking, the sound is fantastic on the Blu-ray version. On the VHS, the sound is, it's in hi-fi, so, I mean, that's at least something, so it is in dual stereo. But the look of it, it's dirty, it's grainy, it's, the color saturation is very off. There are parts where you couldn't even see what was going on, especially like in the very beginning when they're either on the ship during the battle. There was a lot of smoke, you couldn't see what was going on, or when they're on Tatooine, all the sand, everything, and the dust storms, you could barely see what was going on. You can see the parts where they had made some of the small corrections to make the movie better, not the drastic changes to the story. I'm talking about the small, like, color corrections and just CGI type corrections. For instance, the part with the Jawas, when they've attacked R2 and they're getting scared off by Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can actually see their shoes, like their actual shoes that they were wearing, and they were blue, by the way. Little things like that you could see them here, and in my mind, I like it, but just from a movie standpoint, I'm like, yeah, it's better that those were corrected because it makes the story more real. It pulls you into the story better. To not see those things that make you think, oh, this is actually a movie that's being shot. The Han scene, the scene with Han and Greedo, it was so amazing to finally actually be able to watch that scene the way that it was originally shot, where Greedo did not even shoot at all. Han just straight up murders him. And it's so good to see that. I understand George Lucas's reasoning for correcting that scene later. I understand his reasoning. I don't agree with it, though. That's not the way it should be. Han is a smuggler. He's a criminal. He is not a good guy at this time in the movie. He wouldn't shoot back in defense. He would straight up kill him to be able to get away. But things like that, it's really great to see. It was a lot of fun to watch. This is actually the first time that I've ever seen the original unaltered version of this movie. And it was great to be able to watch it on VHS from a nostalgia standpoint. It was just so good. It was just so good. That's all there is to say about it, really. I recommend it if you can find this version and you happen to have a VHS player, because you can only find this version on either VCR or Laserdisc, like we talked about before. If you have a chance to watch it, I highly recommend it. So, thanks for watching, and like I said, I'll be doing a review of the actual movie series as a whole later. Thanks. Bye. guys. Empire Strikes Back, VHS. Most of the real differences that I noticed in this one were very similar to the differences in Star Wars. Most of it was sound and color saturation, things like that. Like, one thing that I especially noticed in The Empire Strikes Back was that Vader's lightsaber was a little bit more of an orange tint than red, like it's supposed to be. Now that's something that I also noticed in Star Wars, but you only saw you didn't see Vader's lightsaber as much in Star Wars. So it's definitely something that I noticed in this one more than in it. One of the things that I did like dealing with lightsabers was the lightsaber battle in this one. I really liked the sound of it. The sound was great. It sounded very rough. It didn't sound polished at all. You could almost hear exactly what they used to make the sounds of the lightsaber, which I don't remember. I remember George Lucas talking about it one time. I know that part of it was sounds of an acetylene torch, but you could really hear it. You could hear all those different sounds. It wasn't polished, it wasn't clean, it sounded very rough, it sounded very dirty, and I liked that. It was a beautiful sound, you know? And especially hearing it in just a dual stereo like this. But, like I said, mostly the differences were the same as I mentioned in Star Wars. So, all around, it was great. There were a few more lines that I noticed in this one than I did in Star Wars. And by lines, I mean the VHS lines that you see across the screen, and that's a process of the scrolling of the video more than anything. Hey, Michael, what was the thing that you were talking about that you mentioned?
I don't remember. About what?
One of the things what was it that you noticed?
Oh,
Yeah.
that thing about with C-3PO.
Oh yeah. Michael noticed something as we were watching that in the scene where they were freezing Han Solo and Carbonite. It was something that was changed in the other versions, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you noticed that Chewbacca actually was turned around when Boba Fett was about to pull out his blaster to shoot him, and Darth Vader stopped him. In the newer versions, you actually noticed that Chewbacca turned around, so it made sense that Darth Vader was going to stop Boba Fett from shooting him, because you realize later that 3PO is his droid that he built. It's not as apparent in this version, so maybe George Lucas hadn't made that decision yet to have Anakin actually be the one who built C-3PO. So that was, a little interesting thing. But all in all, again, very good. You're going to get this recommendation from me for all three of them, so just accept that you need to check these movies out on VHS, because that's just something that needs to be done for anybody that's a Star Wars fan. So, thanks a lot, and it's like 7 o'clock, so I'm going to take a break from Return of the Jedi, because we're going to see Guardians of the Galaxy here in about an hour and a half, but I'm going to watch it later. So, see ya. Wow. Hey guys, Jonathan from BroJMR again. I am going to finish up this video. It is 1:30 in the afternoon on May 5th. I did not finish the movies last night. I was tired after we got back from Guardians of the Galaxy. We spent a little time working on something else. I didn't get Return of the Jedi started until almost 12:30 in the morning, and I couldn't finish it. That's all there is to it. I just couldn't finish it. I tried, but finished it up, and so let's talk about it. The version of Return of the Jedi that I watched on VHS, hold on, let me grab it, it was the earliest one that I had. I do not have the original version on VHS yet. I haven't been able to find it. I only have Star Wars and Empire in the original releases. So the one that I have is this one. It's the THX digitally remastered one from the first trilogy box set that was released. It's from 97. I believe 97, 95. Sorry, 95. It looked great. It's very, very cleaned up. Honestly, the quality was almost as good as DVD quality. I'm not even gonna lie. I was pleasantly surprised by how good the quality was. Return of the Jedi is the main movie in the trilogy that you don't have to worry about a lot of changes, because there weren't a lot in it. Later, most of the changes were for like the stuff in Jabba's palace. Like the addition of that terrible CG singer, that wasn't in there, so there was that. For Return of the Jedi, most of the changes weren't made until the DVD release, because it was a lot easier to implement the changes once the entire film got put into a computer. But yeah, the quality was very good. One of the things that I didn't talk about that I noticed when I was watching Return of the Jedi, and it was something I was going to talk about for the other two, because of the quality, and because all three of the movies that I watched were all full screen, even though I do have the original trilogy on VHS in widescreen, I just didn't watch them. You can't see the crawl as well. You have a lot of trouble reading it, because you don't actually get the whole words until they're all the way up at the top of the screen, because full screen is compressed. In that sense, you don't get the whole picture. It's just, that's the difference between widescreen and full screen. You can't see it, so I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, that's basically it. It's Return of the Jedi. It was decent quality, like I said. There weren't a lot of changes made, so there you go. Alright, and now for the final part of this, I'm going to hop right in, and I'm going to do a short review of the whole original trilogy. I love these movies. I always have. I've been a big fan of Star Wars basically since I saw them for the first time. They have it's a great story. It's an interesting story. It's a well put together story. It's one of the better versions of the idea of the hero's journey, and a lot of that is due to its setting in space and in the future / past, however you want to look at it. That's always been a confusing thing to me. I think that it makes the hero's journey a little bit more, not palatable for the masses, but we get invested in it more because it's not realistic. Which is a weird way of looking at it, but I think the fact that we can't relate to the character invests us more in what the story is. Instead of looking at it as, oh, he's an everyman, that this could be a journey that I could potentially go on sometime, it's more, oh, I'm actually getting sucked into this story because I can't relate to it. And I think that's what makes Luke such a great character and example of a hero. You know, he does this entire journey and he does it with aplomb, and it's great in that sense. All the characters are fantastic. Han Solo is one of the coolest characters ever put on screen, and a large part of that is due to the incredible performance by Harrison Ford in that character. He really encaptured everything that was so good and great about the character, and that really made a difference. I think all the acting really made a difference in all the roles. You know, everybody did their parts exactly how they needed to do them. You know, one of the things that I've always seen in this is that it's not necessarily a story about good versus evil. Even though it is, I don't really consider it that way. I consider this is in a lot of ways, a family drama that doesn't realize that it's a family drama until the third act. You know, you get to the end of Empire and you get that, no, I am your father. And a lot of people, I know there's a lot of shock on that, but I think that there's also an important thing to realize that some people may not have believed that at first, and I think the impact of Yoda confirming that Darth Vader was Luke's father in Return of the Jedi is a bigger blow, is a bigger WTF moment. Because before that, you could easily believe that Vader was just lying to him, even though I think everybody really knew it to be true. Getting that confirmation is important, and that third act is really just Luke saying, oh, I have to face my father. I don't think he necessarily was going into this with the real idea of trying to end the tyranny of the Empire. He just needed to face his father. And I think that that's great, that it was a save the world plot wrapped up in a family drama without knowing that it was a family drama. I think that works. And, you know, I think there was a very interesting build on the relationship between the three main characters, between Luke and Leia, between Luke and Han, that became best friends by the end of the first one, you know. And then, more importantly, between Han and Leia. That was, I think, a really perfect example of how to build a romance in this kind of a movie. Do it slowly, throughout 3 movies. You know, it took until the beginning of Return of the Jedi for, you know, it to really be like, oh, okay, there it is, you know? And that's a great way to do a slow build on a romantic lead in a movie, a romantic storyline, you know? So, all in all, this is just, it's human characters, it's drama, it's everything wrapped up in this fantastic sci-fi action setting. And it's, in a lot of ways, almost a perfect trilogy. So, I mean, what else can you really say? It's Star Wars. Star Wars is awesome. So, thanks for sticking with me through this. It was a long day yesterday. I did nothing but space all day yesterday. Not just Star Wars and talking about Star Wars, but we also went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So I had my complete fill of space for probably a good month at least. So, thanks for sticking with me, guys, and see you later.